Do you know how amazing it feels to not care what people think about you? And this is coming from a woman who always used to care what people thought about me, okay? I am 35 years old, and in my 20s, I spent the entire decade worrying about what others thought about me, trying to make other people happy, trying to keep the peace for other people, and it was toxic, it was draining. I was insecure as hell and miserable. But since living in my truth and doing the things that make me happy, I have been the most confident. I've gotten the most things done. I've become the most successful. I'm more disciplined than I ever was before. Not caring what people think is so freeing, and I want that for you. For those of you guys who are new to my channel, hello, my name is Jasmine, and I'm so glad to have you. How did I get to this point? Well, it definitely started with the online business that I chose to create for myself. I started during COVID. I have an OnlyFans business. And I remember in 2020 when OnlyFans, blew up and people were talking about how much money women made on there. That's when I decided to quit my job and do that. And in the process of me doing that, nobody closest to me agreed with that decision. And it wasn't even necessarily the OnlyFans part. I mean, that played a big role in it too. But people were more concerned with the fact that I quit my 9 to 5. I'm losing stability, health insurance, 401k matching plans. They're more upset and disappointed with the fact that I quit my 9 to 5. And when no one closest to me agreed with that decision, I felt very isolated. I felt like a failure to people who were closest to me. I felt very, very sad at the reactions that I got from people. And I had no choice at that time but to accept this is the decision that I chose to make and move forward. And it forced me to be by myself. It forced me to not only try to figure out how to run an OnlyFans business because I didn't have any social media experience at all, but it also forced me to be comfortable with who I am and the decisions that I'm making. And that jump-started my whole self-development journey. And I started in 2020, like I said, I was 29 going on 30. And so I've been running OnlyFans now for 6 years. And getting to this point in my self-development journey where I don't care what people think about me because I'm comfortable in my own skin is so peaceful. And I wish I knew these things back then. I do feel like I spent or wasted too much time in my 20s caring. And there were things that I wanted to do even before OnlyFans that I didn't do because I was afraid of what people would think about me. I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of being talked about. And it creates cognitive dissonance because who you want to be versus who you are around other people, it's a mismatch, right? So on the surface, I would present myself as someone who, was very easygoing. I would present myself as someone who was very confident, but I wasn't any of those things. I was a hot mess internally because I wasn't walking in my truth. And I was actually extremely insecure, but I was putting on a facade that I was very confident. But when you get by yourself, that mask goes away. And you become who you present yourself to be. You become more authentic is what I mean. You present yourself in a certain way in public around people, and that's also who you are behind closed doors. There's no cognitive dissonance anymore. That's really who you are. And it's peaceful because you don't have to wear a mask when you're out and about and around people. You can really be your true authentic self. That is the most peaceful thing in life. It is so hard to be someone that you're not. And that's why people can't fake it for too long, right? What do they say? What's done in the dark always comes to light. What doesn't come off in the wash will come off in the rinse. Because people can't wear that mask for a long period of time. Eventually, you're going to see someone's true colors. And the only reason why you see their true colors is because they're not really being who they want to be. They're being who they think you want them to be, right? And that's what's toxic. That's what's draining. That's what's frustrating. That's what's depressing is you can't be who you want to be because you feel like you have to be something that you're not. And to be able to walk around in life today, being who I really am and not worrying about what people think is so peaceful. I think the reason why I struggled with that before was, like I said, I wasn't living life the way I wanted to live life, but also because I just didn't even really know how I wanted to live life. I didn't really have clarity. I wasn't really sure which direction I wanted to take. I think that a lot of my insecurities just really stemmed from not keeping the promises that I made to myself. And it wasn't intentional. It's not like I was always saying, okay, yeah, I want to lose weight, but I don't want to keep that promise to myself, so I'm not. I would do so much escaping that it was damn near impossible to lose weight. I think if you're not careful, you'll find yourself escaping through a lot of things. And the reason why we escape is because we're just not happy with the life that we're living. And so I would escape through alcohol. I would escape through binge eating. I would escape by watching TV all the time, all day. Like on my weekends off, I would binge watch TV. Back then in my 20s, I wasn't really on social media, not just as a content creator, but just scrolling. I don't really feel like social media was like that big of a thing until COVID. I could be wrong, but in my early 20s, Instagram had just became a thing. And I don't even remember really being on there like people are on there today, like just scrolling. I do think social media kind of took off during COVID, right? So in my 20s, I didn't really have social media really to like scroll through all day. So I would escape by watching reality TV shows all day or watching movies all day. And so therefore, because I had all of these vices, it's impossible to keep the promise that you make to yourself. How can you lose 100 pounds when you can't get up off the couch because you're watching Real Housewives of Atlanta back to back to back, season after season after season? You can't, right? How could I lock into my business when I'm always drunk? You can't. You know what I'm saying? It's the vices that I had. It's the distractions that I had that kept me from keeping the promises that I made to myself. But that's why I was so insecure, is because I just had all of these things that I wanted to do and I wasn't doing them. I had these goals and I had this ambition, but I really didn't know how to mold it and actually make it a reality. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. But again, the reason why it's so hard to keep those promises to yourself is because you just have way too many distractions in your life. But once you remove those distractions, once you start to achieve things that you've always wanted to achieve, it doesn't have to be big things. It could be small things, like something as simple as you cleaning out your closet. I can't make this up. Something as simple as reorganizing your refrigerator, right? You start to feel like all of these weights are getting lifted off of you. It becomes more freeing. You feel better. And then now you just have this peace that you didn't have before. And over time, you start to become this version of yourself that is so comfortable in her own skin that you could care less what people think of you because you know how you feel about you, right? Now, because I do keep the promises that I make to myself, I don't care what someone thinks about me and my OnlyFans business. I used to, but I don't care anymore. Why don't I care anymore? Because I'm doing all the things that I've wanted to do. I've always wanted to grow a business. I've always wanted to work for myself. I've always wanted financial freedom. I've always wanted to live a healthier life, right? And OnlyFans allowed me to do that. So why would I allow someone who I know or who I don't know try to take that from me? They can't. They can't take that from me. If you're struggling with getting that peace and being comfortable with who you are and, being free of the opinions of other people, well, first you need to get clear on what it is that you want for your life. A lot of times we don't know. You might not know. You might think you know, but you don't really know, right? You might think you want to start a business because that's trending in today's society, right? Be a business owner, be an entrepreneur. But maybe deep down inside, that's not really something that you want. You say you want it because you want the perks of it. But that just might not genuinely be something that you want, and that's okay. Maybe you just want a better job. Maybe you just want a promotion at your job. Maybe you just want to make more money. So maybe that's going to require you to go back to school or get another certification or something like that. You got to get clear on what it is that you want. And then once you truly lock it, not what people tell you that you want, but what you really want. And when you do get clear on that, you have to work towards it every day. Every single day, you have to do something towards that goal. We get 24 hours a day. That's a lot of time. It may feel like it's not, but if it feels like it's not, that's because you're filling your day with too many things that aren't moving you forward. You have vices and distractions like how I used to, that's keeping you from working on that thing that you say you want so badly. And when you start to remove those distractions, you'll start to see how much time you really do have. And now you can spend that free time towards the goal, towards the weight loss, towards putting in more applications, towards studying for that certification, whatever it is that you want. And once you slowly start to check things off of your list, you actually get those things done, you can check it off your list, you start to feel better about who you are. You start to become way more confident in yourself, and you start to realize you are her. You are the SHIT in a bag of chips. Now, what someone may think of the way you live your life is a non-factor because you see the progress in your own life. You see the things that you've overcome. Nobody knows what you go through more than you, okay? No one has a clue what you go through, and nobody can walk a mile in your shoes. And you walk those miles every single day. You show up for yourself every single day. You're going to get to a point where somebody, whether, like I said, whether they're close to you or not, they can't steal that joy from you because you see all of the hard work that you've put into making you, you. Now you can show up as your authentic self. You don't have to wear a mask because you're comfortable with who you are. You're comfortable in your own skin, and you recognize that who's for you is for you, and who's not for you, that's okay too. You're just not aligned, and that's fine. You're not upset about that. Not being aligned with people no longer scares you because you're aligning with yourself. And I think the biggest takeaway that I want you to get from this video is, as long as you are comfortable with the decisions that you make, well, then that's all that matters. Your friends' opinions don't matter. Your family's opinions don't matter. And I know that's hard for so many people to accept. I come from a very small family. So, I didn't have aunties and cousins growing up. I didn't have all the big family cookouts. So I didn't really have that much family in my life in the first place to try to cater to their opinions. So, I can only speak from my perspective. But at the end of the day, your life is your life. It is so hard to go through life not being who you want to be because you're trying to make other people happy. It's draining. It is extremely exhausting. But in order to get free from that, you have to start doing the things that make you you, no matter how scary it may feel, no matter who may not agree, because you only get one life. And I think living in regret is the scariest thing. Like, yeah, it may be scary to live in your truth. For me, it was scary to start my OnlyFans and tell my family, right? It was scary. But what was even scarier is the possibility of regret. Because in my mind, I'm like, what if I stay at this job for another 10 years? So I'm 10 years older, 10 years more miserable, 10 years probably bigger than what I was, right? That would be scary. So which scary do I want to face right now? The scary where I let my family know, hey, I have OnlyFans. You may not agree, but it is what it is, right? Or the regret, the fear of living another 10 years of my life, being somewhere for 8 hours every single day, completely miserable. When you break it down like that, you start to realize the The version of you that you want to be, but you're afraid to be, is actually not as scary as pretending to be something that you're just not, because you care what people think of you. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to read what you guys have to say. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to the Patreon. The link is down below in my description. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.